Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Learn with Jason. Today on the show, we have Kapehe. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. Sorry if my video is a little low quality. I don't know what's going on, but yeah, it's so good to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's great to have you on the show. I'm super excited to have you here. So for those of us who are not familiar with your work, do you want to give us a little bit of a background?
Yeah, so I started Sanity at the end of July.
Okay.
So it's been almost 3 months. And it's my first DevRel job. I used to be a technical writer so R&D content engineer is what they called it at Auth0. Super fun. And then I did like software development locally in Las Vegas. I live in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Okay.
So I've just kind of like made my way into the DevRel world and I love it. DevRel's fun. I really like it.
It's an absolute blast.
Yeah.
So what drew you toward DevRel? Kind of what got you interested in doing it?
Yeah. So when I was younger, I always wanted to be a school teacher. So my internship, my senior year, I was a second grade teacher for like the last half of every Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Nice.
So I'd go and I'd teach the second graders and it was super fun and I loved it. And then I became a flight attendant for 6 years and that's just, there was no like, oh, I want to be a flight attendant when I grow up, you know?
So hold on. So
like
you dealt with second graders and you were a flight attendant. You are like the most well-prepared Twitter person I've ever met in my life.
I can make a mean glass of orange juice. So.
Excellent. Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's super cool. And so when you worked as a flight attendant, and then I cut you off to make my silly joke. So how did you get from there to tech? So
being a flight attendant, after you've mastered the orange juice and the ginger ale, there's like kind of a stop in learning.
Sure.
And so I was like, I gotta do something. So I actually became a flight attendant instructor my last 2 years there. And as a flight attendant, every year you have to do recurrent training and you have to like prove that you can evacuate a plane in 90 seconds, prove that you can get the canopy up on a life raft or do CPR. Like we have like all these drills that we are required to know. Even like down to self-defense, like we had this dummy guy thingy that we'd have to punch and pretend like we're taking down. And so it was a lot of like that kind of stuff. And so I went into that part of the education of flight attendant in the recurrent education. So I really liked that. But then I found that, again, it just kind of like stopped because you do the same thing every single day. So then I looked into web development. I went to a boot camp, super fun. Boot camps are crazy. But yeah, did that and then got a job right out of boot camp doing a junior software developer for a local like startup in Vegas.
Yeah.
And then I really wanted to combine my love of teaching from my senior year of second grade internship to combine it with coding because I loved coding so much. And then, so I did that and I feel like DevRel is the perfect mix of those two because you are educating people on code and I like education and coding. So that's where I found myself.
Well, that's cool that you always kind of found your way no matter where you were into teaching people. And I think that, and I think those tend to be my favorite DevRels are the people who aren't in DevRel because you know that joke, like those who can't do teach. And I always hear that joke and it always kind of bugs me because I feel like some of the best teachers I have are the teachers that were like in a position where they were killing it, but they felt like they weren't contributing. And so then they became teachers to like help other people get further and progress faster because that was the thing that they cared about. When I was in my brief stint before I dropped out of college, the teacher that made the biggest impact on me was this guy who had a startup and had made enough money that he retired at like 40 And then he was like, and I felt like I was just going to waste my life and like die on a golf course. And so I came back and started teaching because it gave me some meaning. And I was like, I love that. That's like such a cool place to be. And I like it when I meet people who are kind of driven in that same way. Like helping other people do more. Yeah, Brian in the chat, helping other people progress is the best feeling. I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
So speaking of helping sorry, go ahead.
Well, it's like somebody, I forgot who told me this, but you have to know this much to teach this much.
Yes.
Like you have to, like as the educator, you have to know so much so that, yeah, you may not be teaching it, but if those questions come up, then you can help. And so it's a lot of like learning on my end. Like today's stream, I've, done a lot of like education on my part to hopefully be ready so that like any question that comes up, I can help. But yeah. I don't know.
I love it. I mean, there's nothing more fun than being able to just learn professionally, right? And I think that's what always draws me toward DevRel jobs or any educational effort is like, wait, you're gonna hold on. My job can be to go learn a thing and then share the thing that I learned with other people. Like that's literally what I would do for fun.
Yeah, it's so true.
So, okay, great. So speaking of learning for fun, I'm really excited about what we're going to do today because it combines a few of my favorite things. If you've been a watcher of the show for a while, you may know I love Sanity. I use it in all sorts of things. It's actually what powers the Learn with Jason website. It's also in production in a couple projects at Netlify. It's one of my favorite ways to deal with content. We're also going to be looking at static sites, which are, as you may have gathered, something that I find really, really interesting and powerful and something that I'm really excited about. So what we're going to talk about today and what you're going to be teaching us is how we can push the limits of that. And I'm really excited about it. So what did you have in mind for us?
So it's kind of like so it's Next.js and Sanity combined.
Okay.
And the cool thing about it is we are going to be building a like button, and it's like, oh, it's a like button, but how do we save that content to our Sanity Studio? So it'll be that real-time conversation between Next and Sanity that every time I hit like in Next, my Sanity Studio right away captures that number. So
nice. I'm really, really excited about that because I feel like this is also where, for me at least, this is where the light bulb went off for how far we can go with this idea of static sites or Jamstack sites is that it's not just a one-way conversation. You're not just building something and putting it out there and then people get to look at it. You're building something and putting it out there and people can interact with it. And like, you can take this really far. So one example that I love to give is the overlay that you're looking at right now that's got my name, your name, the name of the show, the chat going on the right-hand side. This is a static site. It's built with like regular old HTML and CSS. It's deployed on Netlify. And if you use the boop emoji, which I saw that I think Mark D. Evans, Unmarked Evans just subscribed. So thank you so much. You now have access to the boop command. You can use the boop emote. And if you do that, it's going to drop an emote from the top, right? All done through a static site. And that is really amazing. I love that that's possible. There it goes. Look at him go.
That's so fun.
And so from here, actually, I'm going to go ahead and just switch us over into pair programming view so that we can start looking at stuff because I am really, really excited to build this and I want to make sure that we've got enough time to get it done. So this is Cap's Twitter. Make sure that you go and follow. Brian, thank you for the sub. I appreciate it. So what's the first thing that I should do? Like if we're getting ready to roll here, where should I start?
So we could start up our next project.
Okay.
And then from there, I'll show you how to get your Sanity. So like we're going to show how to, with any front end, get your Sanity Studio like up and running. Okay. So, so let's just like create a next project. Next Insanity. That's a good name.
Okay. So I will, how should I start? What's the right first step here?
So like the create next app and then.
Okay.
whatever we want to name it. We could do.
Is it like this? I think
so.
I haven't used this one yet. Let's see. And this is kind of a fun thing with Yarn, where if anybody exposes a like create React app, create next app, whatever, you can just call Yarn create and whatever the name of it is, and it will work. What is your project named? Oh, wait, did I do... Hold on, I did that wrong. I want to run it in this folder. Maybe it'll let it work. Maybe.
Yeah, if you do the NPM way, it would be like you could do like npx create next app with a dash in between both those words, or all three of those words, I guess.
Yes, that'll also work. What's up? Hey, I see Chris in the chat. What's up? Multiple Chris's. I saw Chris on Code, Salt and Burnham. What's up, everybody? All right, so here we go. We've got this. And let me make sure, did this set up Git? It didn't, so I'm going to initialize Git, and then let's open this thing up and take a look inside. So
what's that teach?
Thing? This is an alias for the code command. So I keep this in my dot files, which I can link to here. But what this command does is it uses a different set of VS Code settings so that I don't get a lot of popovers or autocompletes or other things that are kind of distracting. It also makes the text bigger and stuff like that.
I see. That's cool.
Yeah, it's really, really handy, especially when you're screencasting a lot. But so now, inside here we go. We've got a package JSON, and we've installed Next React and React DOM. We've got some basic styling, some images, and it looks like our app, our index, which just looks like just some documentation links and stuff.
Yeah. So
and this.
If you're really familiar with React, which Next is React, pages and like components are the same thing. So if you're new to Next, that's how like the pages is working in my mind, is like, oh, these are my components,
Yeah, I think so in Nextland, if I'm remembering correctly, this one is special because this is like the full Next wrapper. This will get applied to everything in the site. And then these end up getting turned into the same thing .html. So like this is going to be the root of the site, like index.html. If we created about.js, that would be /about, and so on and so forth. And then this API folder is special, and it uses serverless functions.
Yeah.
Cool.
And we will be building one of those today.
Okay. So I'm ready here. What should we do first?
Yeah, so we can get our studio up and running so we can kind of get those two connected.
Okay.
So you would need to get a Sanity account. So we'd have to go to like sanity.io and create an account there.
One. Let's see.
Or it would prompt you, but
so I have the Sanity CLI installed. Let's take a look at that just to make sure that it's clear what's going on. So to get started, we would get started with the CLI. So I've already installed this. And then once we get in, we can run Sanity Init. It doesn't look like it's doing the Sanity login part, but like if I do a Sanity login, I think it'll say I'm already logged in, or it'll let me log in. So we'll log in with GitHub. Here we go. It says I'm logged in now.
And then you can just go back to your code.
That's it.
Cool. Okay, so we are in the root of our folder. Yes. Okay, so from here we will do Sanity Init, and this will ask us a series of questions. So we're going to be creating a new project. So press enter, and we're going to name our project. We could do Next or Sanity Next Studio. I don't know, anything.
Okay.
because this is where our studio is going to live. Yes, we will use the default. So yes, enter. And it's creating the data set. And then because we don't want to spend too much time on like creating the schema, we're going to kind of let it create a schema for us, and then we'll tweak it a little bit and add some stuff. Here we can change the name. So right now we have it as within Next and Sanity, we have it called Sanity Next Studio. Let's actually keep it that. So if we hit enter, it will just save that path. If you started typing, then it would change that. Like you could update that folder name.
Got it. Okay.
All right. Now here we have a couple of project templates, and this is where you can like have a schema for like movies or e-commerce. We're going to do blog. If we did the clean project with no predefined schemas, it would just be empty, and we could go into our studio or within our studio code and start like building it there. But so we're just going to do.
And so is this, like it said it was creating a data set, right? Where is it creating that data set?
So we're going to be having the production one. And
so is it like, is this installing something on my computer, or is this on like Sanity's cloud, or where is that living? Yeah.
So all of like the data, we don't need to create a database. Like Sanity will take care of all that, and we'll see all of our like projects over on another website that we'll get to. But right now it's just like, it's going to be local, but Sanity takes care of all that management. So you don't have to like go get MySQL or create your own database. It's all done here.
And this is one of the things that I think is just such a nice experience with Sanity, is that like the last thing that I want to have to do if I'm building a website is stop building the website and start dealing with a Docker container to get a database, or logging into whatever remote service and trying to configure that database and then figure out what credentials I need and then figure out how to get those into my project safely so that I'm not accidentally leaking my access. And so I love that Sanity just like did all of that. And now we've got our studio here, right?
Yeah. And like Brian says in the chat, who wants to spin up a server for a database? Yeah, we'll take care of that for you.
Yeah, I love it. No, this is great. Okay, so it looks like it's done. It says that it's live in Sanity Studio. So if I ls, here it is, it's there.
So if we want to get both up and running, we could from here do like npm run dev, and that will get our next project running. And then if we cd into the studio that we just created.
I split my terminal, split pane vertically.
So yeah.
And it was Next and Sanity, and then Sanity Studio.
Yeah.
Okay. And so this is a whole other project. Like if we look at this in here, here's our Sanity Next Studio, and it's got its own package JSON and its own set of configs and things.
Yeah. So if you click on Sanity JSON in that folder, this is actually where our project ID lives. So we're going to need that project ID. But there's a couple of places that we can find it as well, and I'll show you both those spots.
Okay.
But yeah, within our studio, sanity.json will have all this information.
Okay. And so to start this, it looked like I can just run Sanity Start. Is that right?
Yeah. So run Sanity Start, and it will generate for localhost 3333.
Okay. We got this little spinner going.
Yeah. So
and then is the Sanity Studio, like this is also a static site, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I think is really, really cool.
Yeah. So you can even like deploy this. You can deploy your studio. So you can, I mean, anyone on your team that you make a collaborator within this studio, because you have to give rights, you know, and we'll do write rights, read and write rights for this project. But yeah, so here's our studio. And then let's kind of play around a little bit in here. And I just want to kind of show everyone how our schema is working. So this is the blog schema that we picked when we did Sanity Init. Mm-hmm. So in here, we just have like title, we have slug, we have main image, body. So if you have a blog, then this is where all your content will live. And then once you start typing stuff in, like we could do a test blog. I don't know. Yeah. Oh, hey, this. Yeah. And then if you hit generate, it'll generate that slug for you. And now author, because we don't have any author in our author schema. So if we went back to the content.
And now, do I need to save this first?
It will hang out. It will just wait.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So see author. So here, click there. And then you can make a new one.
Okay. So I generate. And then let's see. Is it safe to open my downloads folder? Let's find out. No, we won't worry about that. Well, I'll skip it.
Yeah, we can skip that. And then bio.
Okay.
And then publish that and go back to content and post.
I love that it auto-saved.
And so then see how there was like a little like pen on the right side of that if you went back to post?
Yeah.
On the next to content. Yeah. So that's saying like there's edits in there. They're not published. Like,
okay.
Yeah. So once we publish it, that will disappear.
Got it. Oh no,
so yeah, click on that. And then within here, now we should have our author pop up. So if we click that drop down, there's Jason.
Then we've got our images. There are categories if we need them.
Yep. Publish that if we want, but we don't really need to worry about that right now. And then body, this is just like the body of a blog post. So yeah. Now, if we clicked on, see those two arrows going like diagonal? If we click on that, that makes a bigger view to be able to like, so you're kind of like now in a doc. It's not so tiny. And now you can work on a bigger view. And then
nice. That's really
nice. See that plus sign?
Yes.
Right to the left. Yeah. So in here, we can like add an image, and this is like an image for your blog. And this is all already set up for you when we clicked the blog in the Sanity Init.
Oh, that's really cool. Okay. So what do I have for corgi images? I'm sure that I have.
I'm sure you have some.
Yeah, that'll work. Okay. So we've got an image. Okay. We're in great shape.
So publish that.
Published.
And then see how that little pencil thing went away on the right of the post?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that little preview, now it's been published. And if we were to edit it again, it would bring that pencil back up saying like there's things in here that aren't published. So.
Oh yeah, there it is again.
And there it is. Yeah.
And then check this out too. This is new, right? Like this just launched.
Yeah.
And so
this is review changes. So
it's amazing.
I mean, the UI on this is my favorite because if I were to go into this right now, I mean, if we deploy this, once we do that, I can go in and you can give me rights to it. And then if I did that and I changed something, you would see that I was in there adding an exclamation or taking one away or fixing a typo. So yeah, that was just launched last week. So
extremely cool. So yeah, so I think, let's see, there's a question about Sanity being localized. Fields and titles are customizable in the schema. Yeah, that is also really nice. So let's actually look at that a little bit because this is something that I think it's a little bit of a power user feature. But it's so cool, which is that all of the content that we're seeing, this is fully defined in code, right? Like I can control all of this.
Yeah. So let's actually manipulate it a little bit and let's add something. So this schema.js, this file has all of our schemas. So author, post, category. So all of it lives here. Yes. So if you add a new schema type, so if you add, instead of post or author, you wanted to add projects, you could do that. But we're going to edit the post.js one.
Okay.
And we're going to add a like schema, a like one. So we could do this anywhere within the fields. An object, and then we'll name it likes.
lowercase. So
lowercase.
the name is like the database name, like what'll show up in APIs, and then this is what shows up in the UI. Is that right?
Yeah. So it's like what we'll be like using in our code, and then the title is what they'll see on the front.
Got it.
So that's why we want to capitalize title to be likes.
Got it.
With a capital L. And then type, we want this to be a number.
Just like that, plain English?
Yep, just like that.
Beautiful.
Now we want this likes to actually be, to actually give an initial value. We don't want it to be empty when we start it up. So if you go outside of the array for fields.
Here's my array.
Yeah, we could do it at the top of this or at the bottom. We can just do it at the bottom. Okay. But if we did, right? So do it right above preview.
Oh, above preview. Got it.
Yeah, just so, I mean, visually that makes sense to me, but I don't know.
It works for me.
So yeah, initial value with camel case.
Initial value.
Mm-hmm. And then, open that up for an object, and then we'll do likes in there, and we'll set that to 0.
Just like that.
Just like that, yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, I'm into that.
So now when we save that and we go back to our studio and give it we might need to refresh it.
Just did it all for us.
Go to the bottom, and we'll see likes. Oh, 0 is not there.
And now that's because this post already existed, right? So if I create a new one, it's 0.
There.
So this is something that I've always been curious about, and maybe you can answer it for me. If we create a new field, Sanity won't change those fields. Is that done for like safety, or is that kind of do you know kind of why it doesn't edit my old posts?
I don't know 100%, but for me it would be like a safety thing. Maybe you don't want, so maybe you have like a bunch of old posts and you're doing a new feature that, I don't know, maybe Brian can help me, or I don't know. I don't really know the full answer to that, so I don't really want to say. No,
that's totally fine. And it would be better not to like guess, right? Because I think we'd end up confusing people, but that's okay, because look, we can fix it. So now our post has 0 likes, and that's great. So it's a new post. Nobody's seen it yet. It's not published on a website or anything. It's just in Sanity. And there was a question, is Sanity a database in itself? And I think the answer is sort of. Do you know what it's using in the background? It looks like Brian is actually answering.
Yeah, so there's a lot of architecture happening in the background. Much of it hosted in the Google Cloud, and our CTO. And there's a link actually about how on the Google Cloud platform, how that's working. So and Simon is very knowledgeable in all this like the nitty gritty of Sanity and what's like happening behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm. Great.
That would be an awesome podcast to listen to if you want to know more about that.
Excellent. Okay. So now we have written a blog. And I want to note, we've been maybe coding for like 20 minutes, and we've already not only like built a basic Next site. We haven't changed anything on it yet, but we got it stood up, and we built our entire CMS and wrote our first post all inside of that like 15-20 minutes that we've been writing code. That is
an author for it.
In addition to me peppering you with questions and derailing with silly jokes. So I feel like this is kind of why I think it's so cool, this new model, and why it's such a big impact for teams, is that, if we can mess around as much as we've been messing around and still get this far in 15 minutes, that is powerful.
Yeah. Well, and then the moment it's deployed and you give your teammates access to all this, it's ultimate team collaboration.
Should we do that? Should I just give you access?
You want to do it right now?
Yeah, let's do it. How do I do that?
So Sanity Deploy within the studio. Yeah.
Studio host name, let's call it Next Sanity.
I wonder if that's available.
Host name's already taken.
You can
let's call it
Cap and Jason. I don't know. I know that's not taken.
This should be good. Just prefix it with LWJ.
Okay, good. Can you imagine if that was taken? Some of the ones that I name, I'm like, if Kapehe is being used, who is it?
How dare you?
How dare you? This is my name. But yeah. So yeah, once you do that, and then we can go into our manage dashboard where you can give me rights, and then I can come in there and I can edit some stuff.
Okay.
And then we can get back to next and do that whole like button thing.
Excellent. Oh no, my Slack. Shush.
Boop. I love the corgi thing. I love the rainbow corgi.
It makes me so happy. I think I do think that is currently, is that still broken? I think it's
the
still
rainbow
broken.
corgi. No, it just popped up.
Oh, it's
there
still. It's been a while since we've had a good corgi storm here. Hint, hint, chat. I think the Stampede's back actually. That if that counter's working, I'm pretty sure it's back.
Yeah. Fun. Yeah. So now it's alive at LWJ next sanity.studio. MP.
I'm gonna go. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. And look, the same thing. So this is amazing because I ran one CLI command and now that post is here. And so I haven't given you access yet, but I want to show one thing that I think is really fun, which is that like if I go in here and I go here and then I need to restart my local server. Then when this restarts, we should see that change like already pulled down, which is amazing. And while we're waiting for that, how would I give you access?
Yeah, so if we go to manage.sanity.io, and this is where all of your projects will live. So the very, very bottom, Sanity Next Studio, So here also is where our project ID lives. And if we've deployed it, where it also lives. So if you forget what you named it, you can find it here and then your project ID. Under team, if you click on team, this is where you can add people.
Excellent. Is it okay if we show your email or do you want me to pull this off screen?
I don't care. So Kapehe at sanity.io. Perfect. Ooh, admin rights. Okay, so I'm gonna go.
You're in charge now. Okay, so here's our local instance, and now I'm editing local, and then I'm going back to remote, and look, it's already there. I didn't have to refresh or anything. It just showed up. That is amazing.
Okay, I'm accepting the invitation right now. Yes, accept. And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to add.
Look.
Oh yeah, you see me. So this is our presence API that we launched this maybe a month, 3 weeks ago, and so wherever you are or wherever I am, we can find each other. So if you hover over that a little bit more. So I'm nowhere. So let me click in somewhere. So now you can click on me and see that little link thing on the right. That will take you to me. Yeah.
Okay. And so I can just spy on you while you edit.
Yeah.
Nice.
There we go. And then I'm gonna publish that. I'll actually regenerate that and then publish.
That's super cool.
In review changes, you now see. I mean, now it was just published. So, but yeah.
But we can go back in time too, which I think is really interesting. So here.
Yeah. And if you hover over those, you see my name
And so if we make a change that we don't like, I can just back it out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's so cool. I love that. That is really, really interesting. And like, this is great. This is like one of my favorite features of like Google Docs, right? It's what it's, I think the reason people still use Google Docs is the ability to do this kind of suggestion setup where you make a change and then I can see it. And if I'm like, no, that's not the one I want or something like that. So I'm like, not this change. Let's get that out of there.
So
and
you
then
can do
I can
individual
publish.
ones or all of them at the end. Yeah.
Yeah. So we kept Cap's changes and we dumped mine. And that gives us like that's fine-grained editing control, which is very lacking in like, I mean, unless you're going to get into the nitty-gritty of Git-based editing. But even then, if somebody makes 4 edits in one commit, you can't just back out one of those 4 edits. You would have to like find them, copy paste the stuff you want, roll it back, re-add it. And so this is really nice, that kind of like one click undo for just a portion of what changed. Yeah. And the time travel too. Like, oh, how did we write this in the previous version? Well, I can just go look here and say like, I don't know, let's look at the very original publish. And there's our changes. Like that's really, really nice.
I'm going to add an image just so we can like look at something pretty. This is my,
look at that. And it showed up like in real time too.
Yeah. Like as I'm watching you on this screen, I'm doing it and it's like,
that's super
thing.
Cool. That's super
cool. That's the Monstera leaf, by the way. That's like my favorite leaf in the whole wide world. So corgis to Jason is Monstera leaf to Kapehe.
All right, so let's publish that. Definitely make that. All right, so I'm ready to pull some content out. So how would we get this out of Sanity and into our next site?
Yeah, so back in manage.sanity.io. I think that was a tab right there. Yeah. So go to settings and we've got to, so we can like look at this locally, we've got to give this studio, if you go to the top, see API on the left.
Yes.
So click on that and we're going to add localhost 3000 because we're going to be looking at our stuff on localhost 3000. So we've got to give it those.
Okay.
Okay. So now we have that. Now let's go create our Sanity client file in our project.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to here. And then we're done in the studio, right, for now?
Yeah, we've added our likes and our initial value. Yeah, for now, that's it for now.
Great.
So now in the root of the entire project, let's do a new JS file and we'll call it Sanity client and we'll do camel case. Yeah.
Okay.
Now we need to import the Sanity client and we haven't done that yet. So if we want to do an install of @sanity/client,
or I guess I'm using yarn here. So let's yarn add Sanity client. And I want this in the next site, like at the root. I'm not installing this in the Sanity Studio.
Yes.
Okay.
Because we want this to be all over our project.
Okay, we've got it.
Cool.
So now I can import.
Yeah, and we can call it anything. So Sanity client from, and then @Sanity client. Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. And then at the top of this, we'll do export default Sanity client. And then open that object, and we'll do project ID.
And then I need to get that from, it's right at the top of this page.
So you could do it from here, or you could do it from that sanity.json that we looked at in the studio.
Oh, that's
so
right.
Yes,
like, it's
jump
also
around,
here.
Yep.
Okay.
So we can actually copy the data set as well, because we'll also, I mean, it's just production. We don't need to copy that, but yeah. So yeah, data set.
Like that?
Production, yeah.
Okay. Do I need anything else?
That's it for now.
Ooh, okay. All right.
So now
really? That
they're
feels like
linked.
magic. Okay, that's excellent.
Now they're linked up.
All right. That almost felt too easy. I'm like, wait a minute, did we just cheat? Okay. So
Feels like it, yeah.
So then next.
Now within the next, every time we want to call to our data in the Sanity Studio, we just import the Sanity client. And so like if we do a fetch, we'll do sanity client.fetch.
Okay.
And then it will be able to read all that. And so that's why we had to do the localhost 3000 so that it knows like when we're running it there. Also, it's just like a security measure. So we're not like letting our data go anywhere that like if somebody gets our ID or something.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's like both have to be there. It has to have that URL in the manage and it has to have the project ID. So yeah.
Okay, cool. So we want to load, I'm assuming we want to load this on this page, right? So we can probably, we'll do like a to-do, get sanity title, and down here, we'll just get rid of all of this, right? Yeah. And then we'll say to-do, get sanity content. And then maybe as well, we'll try to get sanity image. And I think those are the pieces that we got. Let's drop this out as well. So we're going to keep this as simple as we can. We've got as few moving parts as possible.
So we could, if we wanted to, we could have this index be like a linkable page, and we can link to each blog post, or we could have them all just like show up here. What do you think?
That's yeah. I mean, we can do whatever. I'm pretty happy to go either way. I think we're aiming for proof of concept more than like real blog, right? So we just want to show how to get some content in. Maybe creating the links would be good because it'll help us show the process. Like we're gonna get a list and then we got to show each one and so on.
Because the cool thing about Next that I really like, so React, you'd have to import link and like do React routing and all that stuff. Next already has this all kind of built in.
Okay.
And so that's, I don't know, it's like straight from Next to link, you just kind of like import it at the top of your file and you have like the linking capability.
From Next link. Okay.
Yeah. So we could do that and then.
Yeah. So then I need to get a list of the things. And so we're going to do this as a static site. So in let's see, that's probably async, isn't it? So in Next, that would be the export async function get static props, which is an API from Next so that we can render a static site, right? So then do I need to import that Sanity client? Is that right?
Yeah. So Sanity client at the top of this file, we'll do, import Sanity client from, and then the path should be 2 up. 1 up.
1 up, Sanity client. There it is.
Yeah. Perfect.
Okay.
And then down here, we can set like, const, we'll do post maybe.
Okay.
And then we'll wait that and we'll do sanity client.fetch. And then here we're going to do grok stuff. And this is like GraphQL. So it's just like a query language that Sanity. So we have both grok and GraphQL. And this is how we query for our data. And if you want to learn more about it, there's a lot. We'll go over like step by step, like what we're doing and what each part means. And this first one's just a one-liner, so it's kind of easier to grasp. So if you open that up,
grok.
Easy to grok. So if we open this up, we'll do the backticks and then
backticks, got it.
Yeah. So in GraphQL, the asterisk means like all, so like we're just going to do all, so asterisk, and then we're going to do an array, and then we'll do, your asterisk looks different because of your font. So I'm like, why is this so tiny? I was
I
like,
spelled
that's not
Sanity
right.
Client wrong, didn't I?
Yeah.
Got that
Yeah.
one right at least. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So star array.
Then in here, we're going to look for a type. So it's going to be underscore type. And then we're going to look for all the types that have post on it. So if we remember in our Sanity Studio, our post was one of our categories. So we had author, we had post, and that's where our blog posts were living. So we're just diving into our schema and picking all of our,
So we want all of the post, and it's whatever matches this name, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. And so is it just like an equals like this?
So it's 2 equals in between them. And
then quoted?
Visually space around the equals. I don't know if that's like required, but it's just like, oh, that looks better.
Yeah.
And then close that off. And then we can look for the slug so that we'll have the slug kind of pop up. So if you do an object after, right there, and then we'll do single quotes and we'll do slug. And
like
then
that?
with a colon after that last single quote, we'll do slug.current. So whatever slug is being like clicked on or being pulled up, it'll show that one. So right now we're trying to pull all the posts in and pull in all of their slugs. Now Next, the way Next does it is after all this, we have to return and set props to
we just do like
we'll
that?
do posts. Yep, perfect.
Okay. And then what that means is we'll get a prop called posts. And my favorite way to debug this stuff is always to just dump it at the top to start. So let's do a pre-tag, stringify, look at our posts. And if I start this thing, which I believe is just yarn dev. Nope. Port 3000 is already in use, which means that I have something running elsewhere on my computer. Let's do, what can I do? Kill all node. Good. Okay, so now it should work. Okay, server's running on localhost 3000.
Oh, Brian, in your main terminal, you have this running. That's right.
Not anymore, I don't.
Not anymore. Kill all node.
Okay. Okay. But it looks like I didn't get anything back. And that could be...
So we might need to map over it.
Map over...
all of our slugs that are coming out. So if we do like post.map, like in a, do it in a main tag.
It's showing me an empty array, which has me thinking that it's not getting data back. What if we console log this? Yeah, it's not getting any posts back. Did I typo something?
Go back to this. Yeah, go in here and do, just because it's giving you that warning. If you click on underneath use CDN and then set it to false. Just so we can get rid of that.
CDN false like that? Or is it capitals DN?
Just like that, yep.
Okay.
And then save that. And now we...
Still nothing.
Let's see. So how does Next want to show all this?
Well, I'm actually kind of convinced this isn't Next. I think this is production. I feel like this is, we're not getting something back from our query. It's because it's coming back empty.
So let's go back to the grok query. Oh, I see. We need quotes around posts.
Ah, okay. Compiled successfully. There we go. Okay,
there we
perfect.
Go.
So
okay.
that's me not knowing grop.
No. That's me not explaining it. Sorry.
Oh, Brandon, that command is with an A. That's the one for when I'm not paying attention to chat and they're giving me the answer. Because Brian was telling us that we needed to quote that.
Brian's like, post. It needs quotes.
Okay. So
Thank you, everyone.
so now we've got that. And then I think we also want to get the title. So if I want to get the title, do I just do like title?
Yeah. You could even just do title. You don't need the quotes around it. So the reason why we have quotes around slug is we're making slug. So we're naming it something and making slug.current always be slug.
I broke
if that
it.
makes sense. So we don't have to type in slug.current every time.
Do I need a comma or anything? Comma.
Oh yeah, comma after title.
Look at it go. Okay. So now we've got a slug and a title. And so that means that down here, we can, if I can open VS Code again. So now that we've got posts, then we can map over these. So we'll be like, read my blog. And then down here, we can do a post.map and we'll get a post.
While you're doing this, I'm going to add a post.
Yes, please do. If I want the ID is underscore ID. Is that right in Sanity Land?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So I'm going to do that so that I have a key for the posts that we're mapping over. And for each of these, I'm going to set up an article tag and we'll give it a key of post ID. And then inside we'll do a H2 with post.title. And I think we'll probably leave it there for now, but then I need to link. And so next links are a little bit weird the first time you use them. So you do the link and an href, and then you would link to the, let's see, how do we want to do this? We'll do it as like blog post slug, I think. Seems like a good way to do it. And then we're going to wrap this. And you might think that we're done, but we're not. We have to put an A tag around it as well. And that is so that Next knows what element to attach things to. I assume there's a good reason for that. It's always kind of been confusing to me, but it is what it is, right? So this should... I missed a piece. What did I miss?
Go back down. Somebody's saying there's a comma. You need a comma behind title.
Okay, so those ones should be good.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
I missed something. Post.map. Oh, it needs to return this, not... That's just me not knowing how to write React code. There we go. And then if I click, this is 404 because we haven't set this up yet, but it worked. It linked us to where we want to go. And this is the slug that came out of Sanity. So here we go. Now we've got content, and look, Cap just made this new post. And so here we are. Yeah. We've got another one.
And this is it running locally. So like on your local machine, running your local Next app, I'm able to work on the deployed studio, and it's just grabbing it because we've already set up that like connection between the two.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so nice. And what's really cool is, yeah, like you said, like I'm not running am I running the local studio? I don't think I am. Yeah, local studio is not running anymore. So this is like my local dev environment is just running based on the remote code, which is really powerful. And then we mentioned, like, I feel like we glossed over this, but you did, we called this data set production, but like, if I wanted to, we could create another data set and call it like development or staging or something so that we could test adding and breaking data before we ever touch our production database, right?
Yeah.
And is this all included on the free plan? Like, are we doing magic things here that cost a lot of money? So
with yes, everything that we're doing so far is magic plan, magic plan. Yes, it's magic plan. But yeah, once you start like getting a lot of data or a lot of like contributors, and you can tweak your pricing to be exactly what you need. So you don't have to like jump super high. You can kind of like, as you query for stuff or as you like add things. Mm-hmm. If Brian, if you're in the chat, if you want to put like a link to the pricing, that'd be awesome.
Oh, I can pull it up.
Yeah.
Let's go Sanity Pricing. Here we go. And so free for up to 3 users. It's got a good quota. Let's look at the quota.
So if you, click on that, and then that will show you like,
that's
how far you can go with that free plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have the 2 data sets, 3 users. And then if you add an additional data set, you don't have to jump up to the $199. You can just add $20 per additional one. And then if you need to jump up to that bigger one, if you're just like adding a lot, that's when you do that. But it makes it so you can kind of tweak your pricing as you go.
Yeah. And something to keep in mind too is that this bandwidth, if you're building a static site, you're never going to use that bandwidth. Like, because you're only pulling from Sanity when you actually build the site instead of every time the page loads. So these are all really, really, like, this will take you a long way if you're building a static site.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get, I think the next thing to do then is to build the individual blog pages. So we've got a list and it's linking properly. So here's our page. This part's hard coded. This part's loaded from Sanity. And if we link, it takes us to blog and the slug. So how would we tackle this? Like we need to make...
Yeah, we could add, and Next calls it dynamic file, or it's where you have it in
brackets, right?
Yeah. And we can call it like slug.
Yeah.
Because it's looking for a slug.
And so this just matches the URL, right? The URL starts with blog and then it goes slash and then the slug of our code here. And so then we'll need
the Sanity client for sure in here.
Okay, so import Sanity client from Sanity client. And then we're going to export default function blog post.
Yeah.
And that'll eventually get something, but for now we can just do like my blog. And then down here we have to do 2 things. So the first thing we have to do is we're going to export an async function called get static props. And that's what we did before, where we're going to load the data for the post. So to do load blog data. And then we have to do another thing, which is to tell Next which pages are going to get generated here. And so for that one, we have to export async function get static paths. Okay.
Yeah.
All page names. All right. So the first thing that we need to do, I think, is just run this same query.
Yeah, and we can...
Or I guess a simplified version of this query.
Yeah, we could do that exactly. And get static paths, yeah.
And then remind me, how do we tell Next what the paths are?
Was it...
Do we like return...
It's like returning params or...
Yeah, so we return, is it just like paths? Or
oh yeah, and then the post or the slug?
I think it would be post.map, and then we would get the slug and just return the slug. So we want an array of, or no, it wouldn't be that. It would be blog slug. So we're telling it like what the URL will be. So I can save that. And then upon doing that, what we should see if, oh wait, I screwed it up. Paths, expected paths, fallback Boolean. Oh, must be set.
You can do, fallback false for this.
Okay. So there is that and compiled successfully. So.
And with fallback false, could you explain it a little bit? Because this is like, do you know much about fallback with Next?
No. So what I think happens is
I have a little bit knowledge on it.
Oh yeah, if you've got knowledge, please, because I have conjecture.
Okay, so this is what I think it is, and if I remember right. So fallback false, if Next, because when it runs, all the HTML pages pop up, and you have all your paths like ready for the user, so they don't have to the browser doesn't have to go back every single time they do something. And that's like the cool thing about static sites. So if it can't find a certain path, Next goes back and finds just that singular one rather than like giving a 404. Or if we do fallback false, it will just do that 404. Is that correct?
That sounds right. And I think the reason for that, if I remember what I read, is that that way you could potentially only render like the most popular 20 blog posts statically. And then if somebody hits something that is less popular, you can dynamically render it using that fallback. And that's kind of cool because it lets you do a hybrid of like, because, you know, when you talk about static sites, one of the major limitations and one of the things that people run into is as they get bigger, they get slow to build. And, you know, if you've ever worked on like a large Gatsby code base, you may have noticed that the build times can go like 20, 30, 40 minutes. And there are lots of ways to speed that up, and you can do things to make that more performant. But the truth is, as you get more data and more pages, the amount of work goes up, and that means it takes longer. So this is kind of a hack for that, right? Or not even a hack. It's just like a clever workaround where you're saying, don't statically render everything. Just statically render the most important stuff, and then we can dynamically load everything else. And it's really clever. Okay. So
that's fallback false.
That's fallback false. But so now we're in good shape here. We've got this thing working. And so we've got, when we load, it loads up our post. And so then what I can do here is I'm going to just grab a lot of this this code here. So we'll get the styles, and then I'm also going to grab this here. Let's just get this whole thing out. So I'm going to set this up, and then we'll close that H1, close that main, and then close this div. And I think, are they going to fix that for me? No, because I'm missing head. From next head. Now are you working? Kind of. I think it should just open like nothing. Yeah. So what we can do now is we can load those posts. And so this is going to be, I imagine, sort of similar to this, but not quite. So I need to get a single post.
Yeah. So same thing, like it'll be just like that, but we're going to kind of filter down to exactly what we want. So like title and main image, that kind of stuff. And I put a main image on the one that I added.
Is it main image? Like, I forgot how it's, let's look at the schema. This is how I do it. So we go to the main image, and it's called main image. So we just grab that out. Do we need anything where you didn't use the categories? Well, let's not worry about the time. To show the body, let's see.
So
we've got like 25 minutes. Do we have time to do the body?
Let's skip on the main image because there's like a little more to that. Okay. Let's do, because bodies, it'll just bring up body, or we could just do author name because I put my name on there, and so we'll be able to see that. So you could just do name in quotes. Author? Or author, yeah. So
author, okay. So name in quotes.
Yeah. And then we'll set that name to be author, and then do a little arrow, so like a dash and then a little
like
thingy.
Like this?
Like a single dash, yeah, and then click name or type in name. So that'll be the author's name will be name. So now we're setting that value.
That's slick. All right.
So yeah, we'll just do title, slug, and name.
How do I get just the one thing? So I'm going to get in params here. I'm going to get the slug will be params.slug. How would I get the post that has this slug?
So after the post, after that quote, inside the bracket, do and then we'll do slug.current is equal to,
like this?
Yeah, and then in quotes, because we forgot that last time. We'll do just like that, Okay,
so let's give this a shot. I'm actually just gonna bread post so that we can grab like slug and name and title right out of the params up here. Okay. So in here, that means that we'll get title, slug, name. And then I should be able to do like title. And then in here in our H1, I can do title. And then down here, man, I need to turn prettier on. Then in here, how do we do body? Is it just like body?
Yeah. So would we need to do post.body or?
We shouldn't need to do post.body. We should, sorry, we didn't do that part. We did posted by name. Oh, we missed it. Did I do this wrong? Console log post. No, okay, I did something wrong. Oh, I forgot my comma again. Sheesh, foiled by Grok. Okay, hey, there we go. And now, if I reload this, we
need that after. So it's
an array, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm destructuring now to make it an array. Hey, look at it go. Okay, good. So then, if I get my likes from here.
So
then I should
be able to. Because we want this to be able to have write access, we need to get a token. And this is where our serverless function comes in.
What? Likes. Yeah. I told you to give me likes. Oh, and then I forgot to pull it out of here. Okay. And then I don't really need the slug anymore, so I'm not even going to get that one.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, we don't need that.
Okay. And it didn't give me... Did it have a value?
So
okay,
for the likes, and maybe next wants to do it a little differently, but set a state so that as we update it.
Oh yeah, we can. Yeah, so it looks like I got it this way. And then do we want to track that in the next state?
Well, we could track it and let it also link to Sanity Studio.
Okay.
So we can see within our studio how many likes something has.
Yes, and we need that part so that we can track it between refreshes. Because if I do it just the React way, which we can do really quickly, thank you, hooks. I can do a const likes, set likes, and then we'll make that react.use state, and we can set the initial value to likes. And then over here, I can do an on click, and we will say set likes to likes plus 1, right? And so then what'll happen here is, I double like state and like state. Okay, so then as I click this will track, and that's really exciting. But if I refresh the page, it goes back to 0. So if we want to store this somewhere, how would I do that?
Okay, we have 20 minutes.
Yes.
Let's speed run. Yeah. Okay, so in the API folder, we're going to create, we'll do handle-like. In the, the API folder right there, we'll do handle-like.
Okay. And then I'm going to copy this for getting started here. And so what this will give us is we get the request and the response. And so we're setting a response status code of 200, HTTP 200, okay. And then we can send back a JSON object. And so in our case, it'll be likes and whatever the new likes value is.
Yeah. So we're going to want to bring in our Sanity client, and we're going to give this a write token, because every time someone tries to like update this, it's like write access, like we want this to be able to write to our studio.
Yes.
So we'll need to do a
token. Now I'm going to need to pull this off screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So
And
I'll
then
get it
right.
I'll get it set up, and then I'll get it checked here, and then we'll be able to go from there. So this is going to be a LWJ next write token.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to pull this off screen while I generate the token.
Cool. Yeah. And then in here, we'll give it like in the .env, we'll name it something, and yeah.
So that's generated now.
Cool.
And I have it copied on my clipboard. And so what I'll do in here is I'm going to set a .env file. And then I have this thing called cloak. So what I'll do is we'll call it Sanity Write Token, or does it need a special name?
No, it can be that, because we'll just use that. Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect.
All right. So then
this is cool.
So how do I add the token to this?
So we'll do like client config, and then we'll do like above that, and then we'll do token is process.env, and I don't know if we have to do it outside of that.
I think we can do it either way, but we don't need to rewrite it every time someone requests, so why not keep it out here? Okay, so we've got that.
And then in here, okay, let me just make sure that this all works, because we're going to be using the Sanity SDK, and there's a lot of like cool like things that we can add on that will take care of like the incrementing and then the save of the likes.
Okay.
So we'll do, we have request. So we'll do const and then destructure the ID. So JSON.parse, and then we'll do request.body.
JSON. So we want the ID, and that'll be JSON parse request.body. Okay.
And you'll need underscore before the ID.
Oh, right. Because it's Sanity. Okay.
And then under here, we'll do const data, and then we'll do await client. And then here, well, what do we call it? Yeah, Sanity client.
Okay.
And then we'll do .patch.
.patch. Okay.
And then in here, we'll do the ID. So underscore ID.
Just as like the first argument?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then
outside of this, we'll do a dot.
Oh, outside. Okay.
We'll do dot. So INC, so like increment. And we'll do within that, we'll do likes 1. So do curly.
Like that.
Yeah. And then outside of that, we'll do commit.
Okay. Where do I set this client config?
So where do we set that client config?
Like, is it like sanity client.client config or something?
Oh, it should be client.config.
So I do like sanity client.config.
Sorry.
And is that's a method?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. So then in theory, what that will give us is, so we need to send in an ID. We have to post an ID, and then that's going to send a patch request, which is like to not replace to replace a document, but to like update it. Mm-hmm. And the update we're applying is to increment our likes by 1. Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the commit will save it all.
Got it. And then what we get back, is that the whole post, or is it just going to be the data that changed?
So in the response, we can do likes, and we'll do data.like, so we get just that like.
Got it. Okay, so we're going to do data.likes. Okay. And so that I think should work.
And do we have to return the response underneath all that?
That's what this part is doing is setting the response.
Okay. I don't know if we had to return it, but yeah.
So now what we should be able to do is in here, we can set up, so I need to query for the ID so that we have it. And then I'm going to set up a function, which would be add like.
Yeah.
And that's going to take, doesn't really need an argument. So we'll be able to do a like.
So we want to like fetch for that API.
Yeah. So we'll get a
handle like.
Response will be await. So I need to make this async. And we'll await fetch. And that's going to be API handle like.
Mm-hmm.
And then what we're going to send it as is a post. And for the body, we will JSON stringify ID. And I think that's everything we need. So then down here, we will, what we get back is going to be JSON. So we'll then get our response and we'll do response.json. And then that's going to be an object that just has the likes in it. So we can actually
you set likes.
Oops. And then we can set likes to be likes. And so I should probably alias this so that it doesn't complain. Okay. And then instead of updating this down here, we can do an add like. Okay. So what should be happening now, assuming this all is done properly and I made no typos, which never happens, then we are adding a new function that will get called whenever we click this button. And what that will do is send the ID of the current blog post to our serverless function that we just wrote in here. That is going to grab that ID, send it to Sanity, increment the likes, and then return the new likes, which come back to us here. And then we're going to update our UI with that new likes. Everybody ready to try this out? Let's see how this thing goes.
I'm ready.
Okay, first try. Is it going to happen? No! Okay, my ID is not defined. Why is my ID not defined? It's not defined because I didn't get it from my props. What? What did I do, Brian? Missing ID in the prop. Okay, yeah, you're right. You are correct. As usual, the chat is ahead of me. So we got something missing. Let's look at what happens. Try this again. I'm going to hit this button. It doesn't like... Oh, because we just created this function, I'm going to stop and restart the server so that we pick this up again.
Okay.
So here we go.
Oh yeah, and we did all that .env stuff. So yeah, definitely this restart.
Okay, so now restarting, clicking the button. No, okay, what went wrong this time?
Unexpected.
API handle like. Nah, you exist. Handle like. Why don't you exist? Anybody know?
Maybe JSON position 0. Scroll up in VS Code terminal.
Oh, I didn't make it async.
Oh.
Oof. All right. This time it's going to work. Here we go.
Here we go.
I'm still counting this as the first try. All right. So,
Yeah, this is first
look
try.
at it go. Worked on the first try.
That's amazing. On the first try, Jason.
Okay. So now, but here's a moment of truth, because what if this worked properly? When I refresh this page, it's still going to say 1 likes. We've done it. This is some extremely cool stuff. And so now we are able to track this.
Studio.
So, and yeah, now I can go to the studio and we can look at it.
Mm-hmm.
If I can find the studio. Here it is. Booyah.
There it is. So as your users update or as they like it, then you'll see in your studio exactly how many likes you have.
Yup. That is really, really cool. So I'm going to and I think this happens in like absolute real time. Watch. Bang. Bang. Oh, it's so nice. Okay. Look at it. Actually, this updates faster than the UI because it's like on the return trip.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. This is very exciting. So now we have exactly 8 minutes. Do you think we can deploy this in 8 minutes? Let's find out.
Let's find out. And then we'll get everyone to like it.
I'm going to use something called Next on Netlify, which is a really nice tool that should let us deploy all of this. And I think it should happen really fast. So let's find out. I'm going to stop this. I'm going to yarn add Next on Netlify. And then we're going to copy paste this next.config.js. And we put this down at the bottom. Next.config.js. Drop that right in there. Okay. Then we need a post build hook. We can do that. So we go into our package.json. We've got our build. Let's add this post build hook. There it is. And then we're going to set up Netlify. So we'll do a netlify.toml. Drop this in there. Good. Okay. And so now, because I've got this all configured, we've got it all in ready-ish for Git. Let's see what happens if I git add all. Do I have regrets? I might have regrets. Did I just add all of node modules? Oh, I also added, no, get that out of there. I need to update this to include my .env, and let's include all node modules. And I'm going to git add everything. Okay, so this should be a little bit better. We've got our yarn lock, styles, and then our studio. We've got the config. Should I ignore this dist folder? That seems like something that shouldn't be tracked.
Yeah, you can ignore it.
Okay, so let's git reset. And we'll ignore dist as well. And then let's git add all one more time. And okay, so those are all the pieces that we want to track. We've got public pages. Good, I'm happy. Git commit. And we'll say YOLO. Then we're gonna git create, learn with Jason, next, and sanity. Good, and then we're gonna git push origin main. All right, how are we doing on time? 5 minutes. Oh boy, here we go. Then I'm gonna Netlify init. If this build doesn't work on the first try, we're gonna have to deploy it later. So I'm gonna create and configure a new site. We're gonna put it on here. We're gonna call this next and sanity, and hopefully that's not taken. It's not. Then we're gonna do a yarn build. We'll do out publish. This actually doesn't matter because it's going to be set by the .toml. Good. So then we're going to Netlify open. And that'll give us our site. It's building.
Okay.
And everybody, fingers crossed. A little bit of hold music. good note from the chat that we need to add our, where is it?
Oh, yeah.
Add our new site to the cores.
Yep.
Okay.
You want to make sure it has access.
Okay.
I like that hold music.
That was one of the very first things that we added to the show, was like a user command to play hold music, because I would always have some long running process and I would just be staring awkwardly. And so,
yeah.
Okay. So the site's live. So this is our moment of truth. Did it work? Oh, it didn't work. What did we miss? 502. What's a 502?
Oh, sanity token to Netlify.
Good call. Okay, so I need to add my sanity token to, yes, excellent. Man, chat, you are on top of it today. Okay, so we're gonna add our variables, and our variables are in here. Oh, you wanna see some cool stuff? Look at this, this is a new one. We have a new command called Netlifyenv. And so I can import my environment variable. So Netlifyenv import .env. Please don't show the whole thing.
Show the thing.
Oh, I totally did it. All right, I'm gonna roll that token. But if I reload, there it is. Okay, so now I'm going to go and rebuild this thing. And we've got 3 minutes. Build fast.
Build fast. Go build.
We have a next cache plugin that I have not installed that'll make this even faster. But for now, this is a small site. It should build in a minute or so.
Yeah. Hold music. Do 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 do.
I don't know. I like yours better. I'm gonna clip that and make that a new effect.
Yeah.
Come on. It's gonna work. We're gonna get it. Got chat support for Kapehe hold music.
Ooh, yeah.
All right, we're uploading.
Any minute.
Do the thing. And moment of truth. Victory. So, y'all, look at this. So now you can all go like this post. And now keep in mind, we didn't set up any kind of real time. So what I will do is go look at the Sanity dashboard over here. Look, folks are already spamming that like button.
Yay!
Beautiful. This is so great. Like, I love how straightforward this was. Like, this is really, really nice. And so whenever we reload this page, oh, interesting. We need to do a, oh wow, 400.
401.
Okay, team. So I just noticed the shortcoming of what we did. When we do the get static props, we're not doing a client side check for it to load the latest value. So we get the value that it was built at, and then we don't see the new value until we click that button. So what we would need to do next, which we don't have time for, is add a check for probably polling to just check every few minutes. We are already almost at 1,000 likes. This post is going viral, everybody. And with that, I think we're going to call this a successful episode. Kapehe, thank you so much for spending time with us today. I want to do a quick shout out to our sponsors. We had White Coat Captioning doing the live captions today. Thank you so much for being here. That is made possible by the generous contributions of Netlify, Fauna, Auth0, and Sanity. So thank you for making this show more accessible to more people. Chat, as always, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Cap, is there anywhere that you want people to go to follow you or to check out more?
Yeah, so twitter.com/Kapehe_OK. That's where you can find me. Also, Kapehe.io is my portfolio where you can find like all my social links. And thank you so much for having me. And this was fun.
Yeah, I'm glad you had a good time. I always have a good time. Chat, I appreciate you hanging out. Stay tuned. We're going to raid. Thank you all again. And make sure you check the schedule because we got some fun stuff coming up next week. Let's see if I can get this up in 1 second. Here is the schedule. We have Tanner Lindsley coming on, and that is going to be really fun if you're curious about React Query, which I am very curious about it. It's going to be a lot of fun, really, really good information in here. Similarly, we've got Zell coming on, and we're going to build drag and drop with JavaScript using no frameworks. So it's going to be a really good week. Make sure you mark your calendar, and we'll see you next time. Thanks again, y'all.
Thanks, everyone. Mahalo.